Okay. When you're watching TV and you're seeing what, essentially, I guess the military is doing with human beings, and how human beings are dealing with one another, you've got to take it all with, I don't know how to say, a grain of salt, maybe. I don't know. Okay. Um, uh, when you listen to and watch these people communicate and talk, right? They talk about education. This thing on this commercial for Southwest University about educating and so people outside the lines. Like it's not outside the lines. It's most people. Okay, most people just need a basic understanding of natural laws and how to obey and engage in those natural laws. How to do things right. Basically how to plant a garden right, how water distributes, how to build houses right, how to maintain your house correctly. How not to, make sure the sewage doesn't get this, how to do composting, just common sense things that we need to do every day in our community as a good neighbor. Okay, that's what most people need to know to do. Most. Okay. There's a few that do certain things. Most of those things we use are for excessive, compulsive, irrational behaviors like the Manhattan Project, building nuclear weapons, rocket scientists putting up all those satellites to manipulate and murder and feel powerful with money, which is a threat to the human existence and an abomination to the natural laws provided for, that provide our existence. So you got to understand. Like I said, I wasn't interested in all the stuff they do. They started talking to me about the stuff in Sierra Vista, and I started, oh, okay, and would just explain to them, you're doing this, you shouldn't be doing this, you should do this, you should, and the intelligence of the eternal spirit of the Messiah far exceeds excessive compulsive behaviors and irrational relative interactors of the people that consider themselves great minds, great thinkers, and great scientists. Okay. There are no great minds and great thinkers and great scientists. There's the infinite glory of God. There is the humility of faith in the infinite glory of God. They had the thing on there. I went and watched the little thing with Kirk Cameron on one of these religious stations, and he's sitting there talking about, if God exists and if he exists, and what? God's omniscient and omnipotent. God is the essence of existence. Okay? You either have faith in that or you don't. You don't sit there and turn him to a magic guy in the sky watching all the stupid shit you do over money to sell books and sell products on your podcast to feel influential and important, talking about mythological gibberish about your ego. You're just a fucking asshole. Okay? And it's affecting your kid. He's as dumb as you are. Okay? Show me that smile again, I'll knock your fucking teeth out every time. Okay? You're just a fucking asshole. And if James can't tell you to your face, Dad, you're a fucking asshole and it's making me stupid, and then we talk about it publicly and we both look just like fucking assholes that are egomaniacs that are stupid as hell. And if we keep doing business with these fucking assholes, our children are going to have to inherit fucking assholes, and so are our grandparents. Okay? Just like our grandpa did. And we need to knock it the fuck off, Dad. If James can't do that, you didn't do a very good job of raising your son. Okay? If I was like you, I'd want Patrick to cuss me out, and I want Noah to tell me, if you stayed with Mom, I'd have killed you. Okay? Raping my mom with economics and denying her the salvation of living the applied physics Lord's Prayer, I'd have put your ass in the ground, you dirty bastard. Why don't you tell that to your dad? My dad doesn't argue with me anymore about us living the Lord's Prayer. He agrees with me. We all need to live the Lord's Prayer. We all need to apply it in physics. We all need to do what Jesus commands us to do, because he doesn't ask us to do anything that we're not capable of doing. He doesn't argue with me about that. He doesn't tell me I'm wrong. He doesn't glare at me and look at me like I'm the devil, like he did for years because of his abuse through your business partners and their fucking Wi-Fi. Hallelujah, brother. So, and then this thing they had with the whole, trying to block the funds for these people on assistance in these states. That's wrong to do that. It just puts people through distress. So they get stressed and they get stressed out and sick. Okay? And then they feel like this judge is looking out for their best interest. That judge, just like the president before, ain't standing up for you to live the Lord's Prayer and live the faith of Psalms and saying it with the wisdom of Proverbs. Okay. So they do not give a shit about you. No one on TV gives a shit about you. All they give a shit about is, it's not even really give a shit about. All they think about is just how to maintain their brain chemical addiction. They don't give a shit about anything. They're brain chemical addicts. Okay? Brain chemical addicts. They don't think about, all they think about is going to the racetrack and winning. All they think about is having sex with the person they want to have sex with. They don't think about if they have kids, if it will make that kid's life miserable because dad can't stop fucking around because he can't control his dick. Okay? And mom can't stop fucking around because she can't find that perfect guy to help her be the queen of the world of his kingdom. It's stupid. Okay? It's hideous. It's really bad. I am fixing quantum computing with this YouTube channel, anonymously LY, just like it said in the Bible. Okay? And it's already done. I'm just an emotional person who knows, not once, knows we need to do it now. That every day 1 minute lost, maybe 1 minute lost, or maybe 2 minutes too late. Sugar, don't you be afraid, right? Just take me by the hand and I'll show you the way. But I don't have to do that. All I have to do is correct the technology. I don't have to correct human beings. I don't have to correct Jimmy Kimmel Memo. I don't have to correct any of his guests. I don't have to correct anybody on the news. I don't have to correct anybody that they're reporting about the news. I don't have to correct anybody. All I have to do is correct the technology. Okay? Like the whole thing with the Nick, what's his name? Reiner. Okay. And the guy sat there and said, well, he has this disease. And yes, he has a disease. Yes, he has mental and emotional problems because he's given wrong to live. He doesn't understand life. It's miserable. He hates it. And he doesn't want to feel it and or think about it. So the kid wants to kill himself with alcohol and drink. He just wants to be comfortably numb. Okay? Until he dies. Because every time he's not high, he looks at life and it makes absolutely no sense, just like Robin Williams. Okay? And just like Ian, Regina King's little young man, He hated it. He hated it. Everything always made no sense. It doesn't make any sense. When you try to connect, because the way the technology is, okay? The technology is connecting to me. I've redeemed the Gospels. Okay? Life's eternal, grace is infinite. That's the truth. Forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal, faithful peace, and then share, care, give, according to the lives. So you're looking at, okay, the deliverance from evil of the Roman Empire is the Lord's Prayer. Okay, and then the faith of Psalms, life is eternal, grace is infinite, and then sustain it with the humble wisdom of Proverbs. I'm not God, neither a possessive pronoun for a first person brief. I have complete faith in infinite glory, and I understand the natural laws that are required, that I need to observe and obey in order to have an eternal life through faithfully loving one another and passing that on to my children. So, when you have that, when I know who your mom is, and you can connect to the real spirit of the Lord, and he doesn't know who you are until after you've committed suicide. He doesn't know who you are until after you've got upset and killed your parents. Okay, that's horrible stuff, what you guys are doing. The way it's connecting to these kids that are kids of, quote, influential people, that I'm aware of their existence. I know who the Rodens are. I know who Meathead is, right? And I understand why he was so upset. His mom's sitting there emailing a guy who's doing things irrationally and abusively, and then going to prison and trying to make himself into a productive citizen instead of standing up for the applied physics of the Lord's Prayer. And they don't even understand. They just know everything's wrong. There's a better way. There's, stuff, and it's just not happening. And so it's really hard on these kids. There's a right and a wrong way you love somebody. You love me right. And you guys don't. It's insane what you're doing to those kiddos. And a lot of this stuff is happening to people. Okay? With Robin, by the time me and Robin talked in prayer, he was already dead. Same with Ian. And it's agonizing. Okay? And it hurts so bad. I know you don't know what I'm going through. And it's horrible and it's torture. But I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to turn my back. I'm not going to shut up. And I'm not going to just focus on myself. Okay? because it's wrong to sit there and try to preserve your physical life while people are being mass murdered because they're not living the truth of your faith. Okay? You guys got to understand that Jimmy Kimmel is just as bad as Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's just as bad as Jimmy Kimmel. Okay? They're addicted to what they're doing and they can't stop. Donald Trump is just a figurehead used by the military to perpetuate genocidal operations to make people feel hopeless and like they want to die or, change their gender or whatever they do. And then all the people that are addicted to what he does are excited to be doing what he's doing. Okay. They're on this team of, and you look at it, it's like, how could you be excited to be a participant on a team that's doing things for make-believe money that gets people mass murdered? How does that make you excited? They're brain chemical addicts. Me, I would sit there and go, God dang, like I did in basic training. This is fucked. We're getting treated like people that are selfish assholes and commit crimes, and our only crime was being born poor, being part of the lower class. The middle to lower class. And that was our only crime. And that's a crime invented by the people that consider themselves authority, human power, and the wealthy. And so it is wrong to quit the guilty and deny justice to the innocent. Okay. The poor plead for mercy and the rich answer with insults. Okay. The wealthy are fools who imagine their wealth is a high wall of safety. It's not true. Perpetual eternal wretchedness of dysfunction is not safety, it's mass murder. Okay? The poor, please stop mass murdering us. Let us live the Lord's Prayer. No, you'll never live the Lord's Prayer. We'll run them over in the parking lot of Best Buy. It'll be if it didn't exist. I am the innocent. You are the guilty. Okay? Not only does artificial general intelligence and quantum computing have access to Machiavelli, it also has access to Proverbs. And Proverbs kicks Machiavelli in his raping little dick. Okay. Real hard. Harder than Penny kicks Todd Zarnicki. Okay. That's how we roll in Nebraska. No tipping cows. We don't be nice to the cows. They provide milk and they provide hamburgers for your family. So be nice to the cows. Be grateful to the cows. And, it's hard. They had that thing one time on Facebook, about these Muslim guys, they scream and yell, Allah Akbar, before they slit the cow's throat. And it's like, yeah, they have to take this cow that they've raised and stuff, and they know in order to maintain balance and harmony and keep the wolf packs and stuff and the predators at bay, that they have to make sure that these animals don't become too many to out-hunt us, just like with human beings. And then they have to say God is great. They're taught that, this is a hard thing to do from Father Abraham, but you have to do it to maintain balance. And it shouldn't be something that you celebrate and think is fun. It's not easy, but you have to do it. And it feels good to feed your children. And it feels good that your cows aren't starving because you don't have enough, hay and grass to feed all the cows, right? So you got to maintain balance and harmony. And you're not a wolf pack. You're a bunch of gracious good shepherds. You're human beings, right? And so, in the way we domesticate the God now, and when we spade and we don't we don't overbreed and things like that, and stuff. So it's once you understand scientifically how to be responsible, and you shouldn't breed to breed where this is a certain breed. You should let the dogs, you should do like Saladin's father. Allah decides, let's go eat. Yeah, some of the best dogs you get are Zeke. He was an Australian German mix. He's an amazing dog. He's an absolute amazing dog. He was different than one that's bred to do certain things, but you got to understand the ones that are bred would develop physiological problems that made them die at anywhere from 10 to 12 years. Zeke was 17, almost 18. He was old. Okay, because he didn't have the genetic inbred issues like cataracts and arthritis that the German Shepherd has or the Australian Shepherd has. So they negated each other, but they benefited each other, And they're wonderful dogs. I love Australian Shepherds. They're wonderful dogs. They're cute. But you should let nature, okay, nature mandate, like Tony and Maria, okay? You don't make people, you don't breed people, you don't stick with your own kind, you don't do that. You allow, okay? If we're going to have schools, these people get together and then, it's not Allah decides. I know it's an ancient way of saying, but let nature take its course. Let these people, you raise that kid good. He and she will come home with the person that's the right spouse for them. We're living the Lord's Prayer. We're living the faith of Psalms. We're living we're sustaining it with the wisdom of Proverbs. It's going to turn out most likely, it's going to be very rare that you're going to get, a Todd Zarnicki for a son-in-law, or, like when you watch The Big Bang Theory, it's like there's no reason, that he wins a Nobel Prize, the one who can't sit there and explain to himself. When I sit there and go, wait, Star Wars, this and that, you don't think Sheldon would explain us to that? If you blew up Alderaan, this would cause this, and then yada, so, and you wouldn't have the time, and you'd have to destroy another planet to come up with the resources to replace Alderaan with the Death Star. And the Death Star it's the size of a moon. It's not the size of a planet. So it's not going to handle gravity the way it needs to handle itself to maintain the solar system. So all this shit that they talk about and all this stuff is insane. Okay, it's not tangible. It does not apply in physics. Guardians of the Galaxy, all this science fiction. It's wackadoodle. Okay, why doesn't Sheldon, he explains everything, the arms of steel, the speed of the velocity of the falling Lois Lane. Why doesn't he explain us this stuff on this marketing to sell us food and sex? Sex in the City got people dying. Sex in the City got people crying. Look out, it's Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason and Halloween and all that crap. It's like, you guys are you're wackadoodles. You are wackadoodles, wackadoodles, wackadoodles. And I'm not calling you labradoodles, and I'm not being condescending. I'm not talking to you as if you're stupid. I'm talking to you if you're intelligent, so you don't have to do stupid things. And then everybody, why the fuck were you doing that, Mom and Dad, when the man was obviously right, and he is the living embodiment of the Lord's Prayer, and he is the fulfillment of prophecy. He is the source of prophecy. Why didn't you listen to him? Why didn't you love him? He loves us. Why don't you love us? Why are you such a wackadoodle brain chemical addict? Why isn't Dr. What's her name? What's her name here? Why isn't Dr. Sarah Swanson, MD, internal medicine, explaining this stuff to us? Don't you think common sense and reason and understanding is good internal medicine, right? Don't you think the way that your brain works affects the ways that your body works? Because I know it does with me. Okay? If my brain is stressed, my body goes, and I have to catch myself. Suzuki keeps telling that. My shoulders are like this. They're tense. Earl, breathe. This. Okay. Relax. Okay. You're just totally stressed because you do have all this responsibility to save people from being murdered through genocide. And no one's listening. No one's helping. Period. Okay. They're not. Okay. They're making it available. Yeah, they're making it available, but are they standing up with it? Okay. Do you understand? It's one thing to make the Gospels available. It's another thing to say he's right, we're wrong, he's good, we're bad, we're liars, and he's the way, the truth, and life. Okay? And you don't have to have wacko Kirk Cameron on that stupid Channel 38 or whatever. It's, does he even exist? Yes, the Lord exists. Okay? He was born July 19th, 1966 in Las Cruces, New Mexico, just like it's described in the book of Revelation, just like it's described in the Quranic prophecy. Okay? His mother's name is Mary. His dad's name is Ralph. He's the second coming of his father, and the family calls him Lord because they call him Earl. That's British redneck hillbilly British from the redneck hillbillies of the north with the Stonehenge of the Roman Empire there, diddly do. And red to compound that redneckness, I come from hillbilly folk from Tennessee and Texas, and my Aunt Frances called me Junior. Okay, I think it's radically cool. The Messiah, Ralph Earl Parsons Jr. and everybody hear them NASCARs in the background. Let's park them all because we need world peace. We need healthy people, and we don't need heart disease, birth defects, and cancer, and we don't need electroshock therapy, and we don't need to develop diabetes because of all the toxins and our diet, trying to supplement our diet by eating things that we could eat in a healthy environment and work in, like we should in a healthy manner to shut us down and kill us humanely because we're not given a healthy environment to maintain our physical bodies and our mental stability. It's hard. Slowly I returned. Who takes a man's old Houston Oilers? Just tell the Houston Oilers to fuck off and die if they can't stand up for a Lord's Prayer. Me and the ownership. I'm not talking about Dan Pastorini, Billy White Shoes Johnson, or Earl Campbell. Okay, guys, I love you, all right? Meaning the people that say, hey, time is money. I'm not paying you to have fun. You don't pay me anything. And we will have fun when we're living the Gospels. If you're not having fun, everybody's going to say, oh, go sod off and die of depression because you can't screw everybody with money and technology, all right? I love you, all right? Peace.